Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Expendable Show. It is Sunday, and looks like Sean is here working at Starbucks today. So, I've got some really, really big news that happened to me over the weekend. I won the lottery. Just kidding. But my eldest child had a baby, so I get to be a third time now grandfather. So that's exciting. Little baby Emma was born on Thursday. So we all went up to the hospital in Athens, Georgia, and visited with her. Shauna went with us. She was there. She was a witness to the immaculance of Emma, the next greatest of all time. Because that's what we do. We produce perfection in my family. That's what we do. No, go ahead, Shauna. I know you have something you want to say.
I second. She's adorable. Beautiful baby. Love
Immaculate. Immaculate. That's the proper term. She's immaculate. And you know it. Everybody knows it. I just sound like Donald Trump right there. Probably the greatest we've ever seen. Like second only to when Jesus was a baby. Just saying. But I'm really excited. I like being a grandpa. It's fun. This is my third one. The good thing is my other two grandchildren are like 900 miles away from me. So I only see them at like holidays, which sucks because they're fun and I miss them. But little baby Emma's only going to be a couple hours away from me. So I'll be able to see her a lot and watch her grow up. And I'm going to teach her how to ride four-wheelers. I'm going to go buy one just for her. So I'm going to do that. So I actually have a very, very important show today. So I'm on, everybody y'all know that follow me on TikTok and all that. Like I'm on there and I'm active, and there is so much stupidity out there. So you've got your conservative views and you have your liberal views. Although the conservative views highly outweigh the liberal views. It seems like the liberals just are not on TikTok that much anymore, or they're not involved in the political content of things. It's basically flooded with a lot of conservative content, which is fine because that's what we did to Twitter. We took that over, and then the liberals hate it now, and we just keep taking it over. So, which is fine because we're right 99.9% of the time. Democrats are always wrong. They do things the old-fashioned way that nobody likes anymore. But today, so Kamala Harris, we have two different campaigns going on right now. One, Kamala Harris, she's like under some duress right now. So she had a rally in Wisconsin, and two college students from I think they said it was from La Crosse. But they shouted that Christ is King and Jesus is the Lord in the crowd, and Kamala, like the crowd stopped. Kamala said, I think you guys are at the wrong rally. So you're not you can't be a Democrat and praise Jesus. Like, is that where this party's at? Are we in a battle of good and evil? I think so. I've been saying this. The Democrat Party's been going anti religion for a while now. They're just getting more vocal about it. And I know that doesn't apply to every Democrat, but the movement is getting stronger. And I don't think we can, really deny that anymore. They're becoming the anti-Christian party for whatever reason. After that rally, she was greeted by some pro-Palestinian protesters. This country does need some more Jesus, Colin. That's a fact. There's something, man. Whether or not you believe in Christianity or believe in Jesus or God, the structure of Christianity is solid, and it tells you, like, hey, there's a difference between what is morally right and what is morally wrong. And I think that I think it's very accurate. I think the Bible's very accurate when it comes to right and wrong, what's right and what is wrong. Do I think that if you have your own beliefs, that's fine, but at least know the difference between right and wrong and what's pushing it too far. So I'm on board with you on Colin on that with Colin on that the country needs some more Jesus. That's up in the in our comment section today. For those of you who don't know, Colin's a pretty regular participant in our comment section, which I appreciate. And he's from the United States Marine Corps, so we like that. Our military personnel participating. Colin has he has a pair of BDUs for every day of the week. Pretty sure. I've never seen him I've never seen Colin in blue jeans. He's always in BDUs. So, which is cool. I like that. I can't ever see his legs because they're camouflaged, but they're there. So then the pro-Palestinian protesters there, they were shouting about the genocide in Israel, and Kamala basically she got caught off guard. She didn't know what to do, and they were right in her face. And she was like, "Oh, I'm invested in all of you, and oh, we're paying attention." Man, that was you might as well just stuck your middle finger up to him, Kamala, because that's basically what you did to him. Like, hey, get out of my face. Like, yeah, we'll pay attention to you. And she's not really trying to do nothing for them because she wants to jump all over that Hamas bandwagon, but she knows that it's political suicide if she does. She knows that people like Chuck Schumer, people like Nancy Pelosi that actually do invest heavily into the Jewish community will have her lunch if she does that. And guys like John Fetterman is very vocal about his support for Israel. So she will have an issue in her own party worse than what she does already if she goes down that route. And so that's why she's blowing them off without being rude about it. You're not going to see her tell them to their face, look, we support our friends in Israel. She's not going to tell them that because she knows that hurts her too. She knows she loses the state of Michigan and the state of Minnesota if she goes that route. She can't afford to lose states right now. Speaking of which, the Real Clear Politics, which is generally really super liberal, has Donald Trump at 94% chance of winning the Electoral College right now. I've never seen it that high. So if the liberals polling is saying Donald Trump's got the Electoral College wrapped up, that means he's really got it wrapped up. And the liberals all over the internet are going crazy over that poll that came out. They're losing their mind and they're turning on each other. It's insane. Is that funny, Shauna? It is funny. They're losing it. And me and my dad, we were talking when we were driving, because my dad came down to visit me to see baby Emma and to visit Georgia. So they were here this weekend, and we were talking about it, and we were like, you know what? You don't really see any Kamala Harris wall signs in anybody's yard. Mostly you see them along the curb. They're on the side of at the corner of an intersection where nobody is claiming it. It's just a bunch of Harris campaigners throwing signs on every street corner they can find, but you're not really seeing the support in people's yards. It's not like Trump, where they don't just go get the yard sign. They go spend hours and make a giant wooden sign so NASA can see it from space. And that's what Trump does. And my dad said on the way down, going down I-75, coming down from Ohio, that there were just massive Trump signs all over the place along the highways. So we're seeing the Trump support. We're not really seeing the Harris support, which is a good thermometer for how this election's going to go. Or at least people are too embarrassed to admit that they're going to vote for Kamala Harris. They don't want the sign in the yard, so people go, hey, that was one of those idiots that voted for Harris and Walz. That house right there. Remember when they had that sign? I got my Trump sign. All my neighbors got their Trump signs out. So, everything's going smooth. And I can also attest to that, because when we look at how Donald Trump is campaigning right now. His campaign changed. And I don't know if a lot of you conservatives realize that. Trump was really you could tell the stress was on, and he was pumping hard. He was working hard for votes. And now it's changed. You're seeing a different way of campaigning for Donald Trump right now. And I like it. I like it. It tells me that, hey, I'm comfortable, I'm relaxed, I'm getting in there with the people are loving me, and this is all working out. So what we're seeing with the Trump campaign right now is this really, really laid back, campaign that's going on right now. So what did Trump do today? He went to this McDonald's in Pennsylvania, put his apron on, and was serving people out the drive-through door, was putting French fries in the containers. Like, he wanted to show Kamala, like, hey, I don't have to lie to go work at McDonald's. I'll go work at McDonald's. And he did. And the people in the drive-through lines were loving it. And the stupid media, they rushed the drive-through door and was trying to ask him stupid ass questions. But Trump was like, yeah, whatever, get out of here. I got to serve people. Like, people are hungry. I got to feed them. And so Trump was working at McDonald's today, which I thought was awesome. There's lots of videos floating around. Go watch it. It's pretty funny. And you could tell he was getting into it. He was like, man, I got to get these fries out. But, Trump, he ain't going to do nothing just half-ass. He's going to go all in. Trump's going to I'm going to be the best French fry server there ever was. And then he'll go try to do it. So that was cool. He came out. Right. Colin said that he's probably more relaxed now that he's not being shot at, which that probably helps. I mean, if some time goes by and you haven't been shot at in a while, you probably feel a little bit better. But you got to keep your guard up, because there's probably more people trying to shoot you. I don't know if YouTube allows you to say shoot on here, but on TikTok you can't say that. You got to say somebody pew-pewed you or trying to unalive you. Because the Chinese get mad and they start flagging your videos, and then they give you strikes. And then when you get strike 2, you're out. They don't need no baseball rules. You got to get 3 strikes and you're out. I got 1 strike right now. And like 6 videos taken down. It's ridiculous. The Chinese are very, very sensitive people. Or at least the communist ones are in China. It's probably a very insensitive thing for me to say, but hey. If you don't like it, sell TikTok. They need to sell TikTok. It's like walking on eggshells on that platform. But if you hear Shauna tell it, I deserve it, because I'm really mean on there. But to go back into what Trump's doing, so Kamala Harris put that video out with David Batista, the WWE wrestler, and he was like, he had boxing gloves on. He was going from like heavy bag to heavy bag and throwing like a 1-2 punch. Now, if you all know who David Batista is, he used to be a very, very large man. Well, he looks like he's sick now. He's lost like probably 100 pounds, and he's all droopy now, like gray hair. And like, you're on pause. I can't hear you.
He said he just didn't want to be that big anymore. He wanted to be smaller so he could take on other roles.
Yeah, and you know who says stuff like that? Liberals. Because you don't see Hulk Hogan going, man, it's time for me, brother, to get little because I don't want to carry. No, Hulk Hogan's like, give me the steroids. It's go time.
But Hulk Hogan isn't trying to be taken serious in Hollywood, so
what?
We can't.
He just supported Donald Trump.
We
he
can't.
Just tore his shirt off.
Anything. That does okay, and he does his normal get up. He's not trying to be taken serious in a career change. So
well, I think Hulk Hogan's very serious.
Go. Okay.
Sure. I'm a Hulkamaniac at heart. And if you think MAGA's a cult, the Hulkamaniacs are a bigger cult. What are you going to do when the Hulkamaniacs run wild over you, Shauna? Nothing. You're going to cry. Then, yes, the Hulkster's been in several movies. They may have been B movies, maybe some C movies, but he was still in some movies. I liked them. But whatever. Right, he's all over Hollywood. Colin's on. He's fact-checking you today, Shauna. You're getting fact-checked. For once, I'm not getting fact checked. My dad hasn't sent me not one text yet telling me I'm wrong yet. It's like I have my own like production team. They keep my I need an earpiece. Like, come on, I need to get some earrings like Kamala Harris, so my dad can just talk to me through the earpiece, through the earring, and just tell me what to do. So that way I'm always right all the time on my show. Which I'm always right anyway, right, liberals? I know you liberals been watching my show lately because y'all be getting in the comment section at like when I post it and say mean things about me. But that's okay because I don't like you either. Anyway, Trump's doing more town halls. He's getting out with the people. He's working at McDonald's. They're calling out David Bautista. So you know what Trump did? He had his boy, The Undertaker, and his brother Kane come out, support him just yesterday. And then Trump walked out to The Undertaker's music to his rally the other day. And he was walking like all hard, like, and he had 2 bulletproof SUVs beside him, driving real slow next to him. It was awesome. It's like, man, that's sweet. I'm like, man, I want to come out to like The Undertaker's music. He was walking real tough, like walking up to the podium. It was real cool. That's why, because Trump's for real. Trump's a gangster. And the difference between Trump's gangsterness and like the government's gangsterness is the government's too soft to admit they're gangsters. Trump just comes out and says, so what? I'm a gangster. I'm the best gangster there ever was. John Gotti's got nothing on me. Neither does Alphonse Capone. And so, you know, that's Donald Trump, man. He comes out there and he shoots you straight. He says, here's who I am. If you don't like it, who cares? I'm going to keep doing Donald Trump. And it's just like his joke. I told Shauna this joke the other day, but she already heard it, so it wasn't funny. Trump made a joke. He said, you know what the difference between my hair and a raccoon is? My hair a raccoon doesn't have $8 billion fucking dollars in the bank. And that's Donald Trump. That's how Donald Trump is. And liberals hate him because he worked. Donald Trump took him. His dad was a millionaire, right? He wasn't a billionaire. Donald Trump inherited his dad's business and made it an empire. And yeah, he was given his start, but Donald Trump was very, very intelligent and figured out how to turn millions into billions. And yeah, you're going to have lumps along the way. When you own 700 different businesses, you're going to have a couple not make it here and there. That's how business works. And if you give tax loopholes, if the government's going to give you a tax loophole, you're going to exploit it. I do the same thing with my book stuff. I write off everything because the government allows me to. And if they don't like it, if these liberals don't like how they do it, then close the tax loophole, change the tax laws, and they won't admit that that's what has to happen. You get Kamala Harris going, oh, he doesn't ever pay taxes. Well, because you and your President Biden never closed the tax law. You never changed the tax law. And it's because you know that if you screw with Donald Trump, you screw with your own taxes, that you all are utilizing the same loophole. So it's all when I hear that on TV that they're going, we're going to do this and this we're going to make sure all these rich people pay taxes. No, you're not. That's just jargon, because you know the American people are not going to fact check you later, because we don't care about that. As long as you're not, you know, the rich people stuff doesn't apply to us. We're just average, ordinary people. And, you know, it's not something that we pay a close attention to. So it gets kind of thrown under the radar. They know they can go out and every 4 years and say, we're going to make sure rich people pay taxes. And then they ain't really trying to do that. Also, Donald Trump, today was Kamala Harris's birthday. And from the drive-through window, the media asked him about it. And he said, well, I sincerely wish Kamala Harris a happy birthday. 60 years old. Wow. So he, like, the dude's not a dick. Like, it's her birthday. You can I'll not take a shot at her for a second and wish her happy birthday. That's a nice thing to do. So, I mean, you know, say what you want about Donald Trump. Say what you want about MAGA. The people, everybody that goes to Trump rallies, even the Democrat ones that go, they'll be like, yeah, those people are actually pretty decent people. They're happy and they're fun. And it's diverse. Also, unions left and right are jumping off the Harris train and jumping on Donald Trump. So they're losing the unions. They're losing the Hispanic vote. They're losing the black men vote. Harris is just, she's losing like almost guaranteed Democrat strongholds for decades. She's losing them. So you can't sit here and try to tell me that the Reuters poll and the Quinnipiac poll and all these polls, you can't tell me that they're accurate, because all I see is more and more large organizations, large groups of people backing away from Harris and going to Trump. So I really, really do think at the end of the day, I think Trump's up 10 points. And that's being realistic. If I had to guesstimate, I feel like he's up 10 points. You know, he was down 16 points to Hillary Clinton and won. So, you know, they're saying that he's up by a point. The liberal pollsters are saying he's up by a point. So you know what that means? He's probably up double digits. Also, we're going to talk about my main topic for the day. And let me scroll them down. Well, first I'm going to go back to Kamala Harris. So to add to her debacled week, she's not really willing to work with Israel on anything. Neither is Joe Biden. Then she refused to go to the, and I can't remember, it was named after some big Catholic politician, but it was that roast that they do every year for the Catholic, you know, it's a Catholic roast. Kamala Harris refused to go. Tim Walz refused to go. But you know who did go? Chuck Schumer. And granted, Chuck Schumer took the blunt of all of Donald Trump's roast jokes, which was funny. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Donald Trump roasted the crap out of Chuck Schumer. So did the host, was Jim Gaffigan. And he's a comedian. He's just a funny comedian. He's been on like Bob and Tom, like back in the day. Like the dude's, he's super funny. But he was roasting Schumer. So I thought it was really odd that, you know, Kamala Harris completely avoids everything that has to do with Christianity, because I think there's a very, very dark underlying there. And you don't see the first vice president husband, I don't know what his stupid title is, but Doug Emhoff, you don't see him standing up on the podium and going, we need to stand beside Israel because I'm Jewish. He don't do that. So I think he's a turncoat to his faith too. You know, you can't play politics and faith. You can't have to pick a side. Faith should win every time. Politics is a secondary thing. Faith doesn't lose. And so when you see Doug Emhoff not back the Israelis and the Jews, even though he's a Jew, I see a problem with that. It'd be the same thing as, you know, like the Pope saying, I'm not going to back the Catholics, or one of the archbishops or a cardinal or a priest. You know, if you're devout, you're going to stand by your faith. So I see that there's a problem there. I think that there's in my opinion, I talk about it in my book that's getting ready to come out. Hopefully someday. They keep backing up my date. But I feel like that this is a battle of good and evil. Y'all call me crazy, but I think that there's a divinity in play. And I think we're going to see something miraculous within the next few years. But let's go into something that I've been seeing a lot of on social media, where they're talking about, you know, all these wars out here. All the liberals are trying to downplay these wars. And so I want to throw some statistics out there so everybody can understand where this money trail goes, who funds it. And I didn't spend like hours and hours and hours on this. I spent maybe an hour, dug up some information because I already know, because I've covered this in my book. It took me a year to come up with all the money trails that are involved in these specific situations. But since 2021, the U.S. has provided $417 million to Palestine. Think about that. It's almost $500 million to Palestine in the Joe Biden regime. So who's the governing body of Palestine? Hamas is. So you think Palestine's getting that money and the aid that's going in there? No, the Hamas is coming in there and they're taking it. We all know it. They've reported it a billion times. The Palestinians were not getting any of that. But the Biden administration kept funding it. Here, more money, more aid, more money, more aid. And the Hamas is going, thanks, we needed that. And so Hamas got, how it costs money to build all them tunnels they got up underneath there. How do you think they funded all that? United States taxpayer dollars. We're the financiers of Hamas, along with Iran. Since 2023, the U.S. has sent $17.9 billion to Israel. So we're sending a lot of money to Israel too. So we're funding Hamas, we're funding Israel. So we're basically arming everyone to fight this war. So there you go. This is the Biden administration. This is what they're doing. Since October 4th of this year, so we're saying a few weeks ago, the U.S. has sent Lebanon $157 million. Who runs Lebanon? Hezbollah does. So we're funding Hezbollah. So we fund Hezbollah, Hamas, Iran funds Hezbollah, Hamas, and then we fund Israel. So this is like a giant foursome of killing that we fund. Does anybody see the pattern here? Does anybody see the problem here? November 14th of 2023, Joe Biden allowed a sanction waiver to allow Iran access to $10 billion that was held up in sanctioning. So there you go. We said, hey, here you go. Iran, you want your $10 billion back? You can have it. So where do you think that money went? To fund terrorism. Joe Biden is either that incompetent or this is the plan to annihilate Israel. Since 2021, the U.S. has sent $31.7 billion to Ukraine. So there we go. We fund that war as well. Now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. That was all what the United States is directly doing. So now let's talk about private sectors and NGOs. And those of you who do not know what NGOs are, they're non-government organizations like private sector stuff. So let's talk about the big bad wolf of private sector and of NGOs, Open Society Foundation, whose founder is none other than George Soros, who has since retired, and now his son, Alex Soros, has taken over, whom Alex Soros says that in his time as part of Open Society Foundation, he will eradicate conservatism from the United States of America. So that's the type of person that you're dealing with here. So let's see how they spend their money. Open Society Foundation has given $17.6 million to Palestine and Israel. Why, might you add? So they can keep the war going. Open Society Foundation has given $230 million to Ukraine to keep the war going. Now, let's get out of Open Society Foundation, because anybody who knows anything about the Soros family knows that they're a bunch of communist turds. Which, by the way, they don't get along with China, ironically. China has issued that the Soros family is not allowed in their country. Weirdly enough. So the Soroses and China don't get along. Noted. Lockheed Martin. Let's talk about the defense contractors now. And I know I'm going to make one of my friends mad because they work for Lockheed Martin and they hate it when I talk about Lockheed Martin. But the proof is in the pudding. If they don't like it, they should probably stay out of the shady business. But they won't, because they're almost $1 trillion company. Lockheed Martin is set to receive $6 billion from the Israel war. So when we read these bills, and this is where a lot of Americans don't understand, they itemize every penny of where the money that they delegate in these bills goes. So when you read through all the jargon and then it goes, okay, where's the delegations? So they say, hey, we'll give Ukraine $10 billion. We're going to give Ukraine $10 billion today. This is hypothetical, of course. We'll give Ukraine $10 billion. And then everybody sees that in the news. And it reports, hey, the U.S. is giving $10 billion to Ukraine. They're not really giving the Ukraine $10 billion. If you read underneath all that in the next 700 pages, it says Lockheed Martin is going to get $500 million for the Patriot missile system. Blah, blah, blah. Your General Dynamics is going to get $500 million for the M1A1 Abrams tank. It just keeps going down. So that money's not really going to the Ukraine. It's coming right back to the private sector. Why is that significant? Because so there's the big five. Okay, there's 5 major private sector defense contractors. There's Lockheed Martin, which is the biggest. There's General Dynamics. And those of you from Ohio, they fully understand that General Dynamics has a plant in Lima, Ohio that makes tanks. We know that. So you have Lockheed Martin, you have General Dynamics, you have Raytheon. Okay, Raytheon's a big one too. And then there's 2 others, but I don't remember which ones they are. But those are the big ones. And that money that we fund in these bills goes right back into those companies. Now, who are the shareholders of all the big 5's shareholdings? It's BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. So there you have, there's the pattern. There's this big money funneling that goes on. So you think that when a war happens, or it's getting ready to happen, and the Congress knows they're about to pass this bill to the Ukraine. So let's say Lockheed Martin, they got $6 billion coming for Ukraine. So as soon as that bill passes, what do you think is going to happen to the stocks of Lockheed Martin? They're going to be worth more because now their business just picked up. So before that happens, people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all those crooked politicians that do insider trading, they're going to go buy shares. And then when they get the contract, when Lockheed Martin gets the contract, then the stock goes up, then they sell it. And they make a bunch of money off of it. That's how these politicians get rich, off of defense contractors. And so this is the game they play. It's a giant Ponzi scheme. And the average Americans don't understand how that goes. But I spent the last year of my life looking at how it works. And I get it. I fully understand how this works now. And I'm trying to get other Americans to look at it and go, yes, this is how it works. Everyone, this is how they feed each other. It's a big, giant circle of feeding each other. So between all 5 of the biggest defense contractors, Boeing is on that group too. Which Boeing sucks now. They can't make a freaking airplane to save their life without having a door blow off or something, or an engine failing. They got some issues. They're in the middle of a bunch of lawsuits right now. For those of you who don't know, I would not get on a Boeing airplane ever. Right, Shauna? Boeing bad.
Not when they have people stuck in space. I'm
good. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm so good.
We had astronauts, Boeing astronauts stuck in space, and guess who had to go save them? Who saved them, Shauna?
Wasn't it Elon?
Elon Musk
and had to go gas them up or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boeing hates SpaceX. But you know what? Who's the only one in the world getting it right? Elon Musk. So Elon had to send his guys up there to save Boeing. And he did, and he brought them home. But the big 5 defense contractors are getting ready to receive conglomerately $150 billion for the Ukraine war. $150 billion. How much did they get in North Carolina for the hurricanes? Not very fucking much. But you know what? We'll make sure that Lockheed Martin and the big 5 get paid for their defense contracts. For a country that we don't even like, a country that we don't really have no business dealing with. This just doesn't make any sense. That part of it doesn't. I mean, it makes sense that everybody's got to get rich. They got to hurry up and make as much money before Trump gets president because they know that their cash cow's over. When they do budgets, so when Congress does budgets, to give you a broader perspective of how significant the defense contractors are. So in 2023, the defense budget was $848 billion. So the defense contractors were set to receive $400 billion of that. That's half. Why don't we just get rid of our government and just let the defense contractors get all the money and let them be government employees, because they're getting half of our defense budget anyway. So it doesn't sit right with me. These guys have too much influence, and that's what happens when you start giving them more money. More money comes more power comes more influence. So we have the defense contractors are basically running our defense budget. I don't like that. That's got to stop. Also, to give you another perspective, there are over 700 former high-ranking U.S. officials that are now working as lobbyists for the defense contract industry. Think about that. They are just running around patting each other on the back. Here, I got access to this branch. I got access to this guy. I got access to this guy. Here, I'll go lobby him. They'll give me $250,000 and I'll secure the contract. So there's a lot of lobbying going on there. And I think, in my opinion, when Trump becomes president, one of the first things he needs to do is get his executive order pen out and say, lobbyists are now illegal, because lobbyists are what's destroying our country from the inside. Now, one of the BlackRock recruiters told O'Keefe Media the other day that war is good for business. And I just mapped it out where that is how they look at it. War is good for business. Also, on April 8th, 2021, the Biden administration jumped back into the Iran nuclear deal, which is how Iran started to get their billions of dollars back. So why would they do that? Why would they get back into that? That released funds. The whole point, Donald Trump locked that up. Iran was bankrupt under Trump because he had all their assets frozen. They couldn't get none of their money. And then Biden gets into office. Within the first few months, he jumps back into the Iran nuclear deal. And that released all that money back to Iran. So what did they do with it? They went and funded terrorists with it and built rockets and weapons. So all this stuff going on in the Middle East is a direct result of the incompetence, dereliction of duty, neglect, and if anybody deserves a genocide charge from the Hague, it's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, because she stamps everything he does. Both of those two need to go to the Hague for international war crimes for funding terrorist groups. But who am I? I'm just a dude with a $100 microphone, and nobody watches my show except for smart people. So we're going to continue. So there was a website called foreignpolicy.com, which I follow them a lot because they do publish a lot of foreign policies that are of interest to the American people. Yes, you're right. You're right, Desmond. But that doesn't mean that our government has to continually gaslight that area. If we cut, look, I'm going to break this down as simple as possible, because I don't have time to get into like this big, long, drawn out scenario of it. The world is a succubus, and what they leech off of is American taxpayer money. If we cut off American taxpayer money, it is heavily going to disable the world's ability to kill each other, because they can't fund it without us. They can't continue to arm each other without us. America's the largest arms dealers in the world. That's a fact. If we cut off all that cord to these countries that want war, they're going to have a very hard time creating war. And I think that's how you do it. We have to stop this. Like you said, it's been going on for hundreds of years. Who stopped it? Is anybody interested in stopping war? They need to, because war is expensive, and war makes oligarchs bigger oligarchs. It's not helping us. When war happens, the economy generally will start to fall, which is what happened in the Gulf War, because it takes money to fund wars. And so that takes away funds from the public sector in the United States of America. So then there's not as much available to everyone else. So war is bad for business if you're an average American person, but it's good for business if you're rich, because all that money gets funneled right to your business. If you're in the private defense contract sector. So in order to make this stop happening, we have to stop funding it. And yes, it's horrid to say that. And I'm going to get into the statistics of things, because there's a discrepancy as to what the effect is over there in those regions. So foreignpolicy.com states that rushing back into the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which is the Iran nuclear deal, would be a singularly seismic event leading to chaos and instability in the Middle East. They said this in 2015, and then it happened. So everybody who's involved in this deal knew that this was going to cause war, that reinstilling the Iran nuclear deal would cause instability in the Middle East, and they would start killing each other again. It's a fact. Everybody knew it. They make it sound like, oh, we're keeping Iran from getting nukes. No, you're not. You're giving them money to not do nukes. You're saying, well, if you don't go chase nukes, we'll keep funding you. And that's not the right policy to do. That's why Trump got rid of it, because it was stupid. He's like, why are we funding terrorism just to keep them from getting nukes? How about we just bankrupt them all together so they can't buy nothing? And that's the way to do it, because the Ayatollah wants to eradicate every Jew from this planet. He said it on many occasions. You can look it up in 1,000 different videos that he's posted over the last 10 years. He wants to kill every Jew. So let's look at the statistics of war. That's these two conflicts that's going on. And I did them from greatest to least. So, and this statistic right here is skewered, and it's because we have several different reporting agencies on it, and they're all very different. But I'm going to go with the most drastic one, because I think generally in war, when we're reporting death, I think generally the most drastic is the most appropriate to go with, because it gives us a better propensity of how big it actually is. It kind of helps us scope in a little bit better. But there are reports that over 1 million people have now been killed on the Ukraine side of the war. Now, I had some guy on the liberal side try to fact check me, which I tried to find his number all over the internet. I could not find it. He's like, oh, only 20,000 Ukrainians have died. I can't find that number anywhere. But I don't know where he got his information, or if he was just trying to throw me off. But what I read from Ukraine is one of the Ukraine media outlets, but they're reporting 1 million since this started for the last few years. They're also reporting that 654,000 Russians have been killed. So when we add that together, that's 1.6 million people, human beings dead in that little tiny region. There's the population of the Ukraine, I think, is only like 66 million people. So we're almost at 1/3 or 1/33 of their population, or 1/33 of the population is dead in the Ukraine, if you add the Russians in there, of course. So it's a 1/60th. That's a lot of people. And that will take a huge toll on their economy. They're going to have to bring people into the Ukraine when this is all over with from other countries to work the jobs. They're not going to have enough people to work the jobs. So there's that problem. But 654,000 Russians were killed. So we're at 1.6 million just in that war. Now, let's look at the Palestinians. So they're claiming that as of today, 42,409 Palestinians have been killed. And that also has Hamas. That's in Gaza.
the Hamas and Palestinians in Gaza combined. 2,100 Lebanese have been killed. Now, that's not counting today's strike that happened, so I haven't seen how many died in today's strike in Lebanon. But so far, 2,100 Lebanese have been killed. I don't know. They're not reporting whether or not that has the Hezbollah count in it or not. I don't think it does. And then 1,706 Israelis killed. So we have a lot of dead people over in that region. You know, and when is somebody going to take a real step at putting their foot down? They have to understand that we hold the money. We hold the money. We should be able to say, hey, if you guys want to keep fighting this war, that's fine, but you're not going to do it on the American dollar anymore. Watch how fast that war ends. Watch how fast it ends. Because they know the gig's up. Zelensky knows that when Trump gets in office, his cash cow's done. And rightfully so. What they don't tell you in the media is the eastern part of Russia wants to be sovereign from the Ukraine. They don't want to be part of Russia or the Ukraine. They want to be sovereign. They want to be their own sovereign states. And that's what started this whole thing. That's why Obama sent people in there back when he was president. He wanted to get that Russian-backed president out of there and put an American-backed president in there so he could, which was Poroshenko, and Poroshenko started killing the eastern Ukraine. But the media don't tell you that because they don't want you to know that America started that conflict. And that's why it's going on, because there were 300 dead kids in the eastern part of the Ukraine that Vladimir Putin didn't like. And so that part of Russia, or that part of the Ukraine, wanted to break away and say, we don't want to be part of the Ukraine no more. And you can fact check the shit out of that. The whole thing's out there. They just, our media picks and chooses how they want to pump up something. And because it makes Obama look bad. And that's what happened, though. That in reality, that's what happened. And so Poroshenko got in there. And then when Poroshenko was done being president, then Zelensky got in there. So it's another U.S.-backed, politician. And now Zelensky's taking full advantage, taking as much money as he can get his hands on. This war should be over. This should have been over. Russia's not even putting their full force into this war. They're using half of their weapons are Cold War weapons. They're just emptying out the closet. Putin hasn't done nothing. Every time the Ukraine kind of pushes the border a little bit, then Russia will unleash some stuff. Say, hey, get back over on your side. But he's not really attacking them. And it's because he just wants them. Putin, if you actually watch Vladimir Putin talk, I'm not going to sit here and try to pump up Vladimir Putin, but I watch all sides. So when I go watch Vladimir Putin speak about the Ukraine war, he says, yeah, all we want to do is just release this little strip, the Donbas region, and Donetsk and Luftwaffe, I guess, whatever that other region is. They want them to just have their own territory. That's all. That's it. This little tiny little region. And they don't want that. The Ukrainians, they'd rather kill their people. And that's wrong. So you have all these dead people for no reason. There's no reason to have them. Same thing with Israel. If we would have kept our stronghold, if Biden would have kept a hold of the Abraham Accords, there wouldn't be a war going on over there. If Biden hadn't released all that money back to Iran, we wouldn't have this war going on. Iran was literally bankrupt. They were worth nothing. And Trump did that. He cut them. And they couldn't recover. They were not going to recover. Same thing with Russia. If you go look at the rubles, the value of the rubles over the last 10 years, Obama he caused value to the ruble. And then when Trump got in there, everybody wants to say Trump's a Russian supporter. Trump was not a Russian supporter. Trump was harsh on Russia. That's why Russia didn't do nothing. And the proof is in the value of the rubles. I can back that statement up by just looking at the value of rubles over the last 10 years. When Trump was president, the value of the ruble dropped dramatically and then stayed flat for the 4 years he was president. And then once Biden got back into office, the value of the ruble skyrocketed, and now it's at record highs. Russia's richer than they ever have been under Joe Biden. And the proof is out there. Everybody can go look at the stock holdings of the ruble and look at their market trend analysis, and you'll see the pattern. You'll say, oh, well, you can definitely tell when Trump was president because Russia didn't make no money. Trump was bankrupting Russia. And they want to talk about how bad his foreign policy was. Yeah, he talked a tough game, but he choked countries that didn't like America economically, and he was failing them, and he was masterfully doing it. And then you go look at the gas prices under Donald Trump. The difference is the markup. Everybody wants to say, well, Trump just benefited from this and benefited from that. No, it's not that. It's not that difficult. Everybody's making it way more difficult than what it is. If you go look at the cost that it takes to refine oil into gas, it's about 40 cents. It costs about 40 cents a gallon to refine oil into fuel. So when you look at how much, when we were energy independent under Donald Trump, and we were able to manipulate the oil markets because we became the OPEC's competitor, Donald Trump was able to sell our own oil to our own oil companies for like $1.10 a gallon. And then you add the processing fee of 40 cents. So now you're looking at $1.50. And then he was only letting the oil companies mark up the oil price, the gas price that you pay at the pump. If you look at how the oil worked out, the markup was only averaged 80 cents. The oil companies only got an 80-cent markup. Then you go do the same thing for the 5 years of Joe Biden's presidency. The oil markup was $1.25 consistently for 4 years under Joe Biden. That tells me Donald Trump went to the oil companies and made them a deal. And everybody's like, oh, he makes deals with rich people. That saved us money. So what? He made a deal. He saved us thousands and thousands of dollars over the 4 years he was president just in gas, because he went and made a deal that benefited us. And then he hurt Saudi Arabia. We needed that. He hurt Venezuelan oil markets. He hurt the Russian oil markets because he undercut everybody. It's genius. His international policy on everything was genius. He is smarter economically than any president we have ever had internationally. Everything he did, when you really sit down and stop watching CNN and stop watching MSNBC and you actually go look at what actually happened, and you're like, oh my God, this guy was immaculately intelligent when it came to his economic policy. Kamala can't even come close to touching that. She don't have the right people around her to do it, and she doesn't have the fortitude herself to do it. Everybody's heard her plans. Well, we're just going to cap stuff. Well, who do you think that hurts? You're going to kill small farms doing that. You're going to kill startup businesses doing that. And it's the same thing as when Trump gave out all those PPP loans after COVID. He gave them out. You know how many black businesses started from those PPP loans? Shauna can attest to it because we got flooded with them here in Atlanta. And you know what happened when Joe Biden got elected president? He shit the economy away, and a large majority of those people that started those businesses lost their businesses that fast. That economic plan was a huge failure. And it will be a failure. You can't just cap goods because the Biden administration raised the wages on everybody. You have to be able to cover your working capital. And if you cut and cap things, you're gonna make layoffs happen because the companies are gonna have to compensate that. It's very, very simple. It's a very simple economic situation. And it's just because the media doesn't explain exactly how these work. Kamala Harris is not explaining how these work. Yeah, tariffs is a good idea. Tariffs is a really good idea. You know why the economic experts don't like it? Because it screws up the stock market for the rich, because they can't just cater to China. They can't just cater to Chinese products anymore because now China is going to stop sending as much stuff over here. And what does that do? If China sends less stuff, then it makes Americans have to buy American-made products. Oh my God, that's horrible. Why would we want to do that? Why would we want to buy American-made products? We might as well just shut down all of our businesses and just buy everything from China if that makes everybody happy. Same thing with the auto industry. Yeah, if China wants to send all their plants over to Mexico, tariff them. Let America make some money off of that. You want to bring your cars in here? 200% tariff. If you don't like it, put your plant inside the United States of America, and then you don't pay no tariffs. It's genius. It's a genius economic plan. Yeah, it forces people to have to be honest. And that's what liberals don't like. That's what liberal politicians don't like, I should say. Because they don't like that it makes companies be honest. If they get past Orange Man bad and say, okay, let's just start over. Let's start over. Let's just clear all the thoughts of Orange Man bad out of my head and just watch the policies in place. Then they'll see that the policies are better, that the policies benefit the American consumer. And that's why everybody sits around and goes, when you watch every demographic of people on TV, when the media interviews them, even CNN, they get caught with their pants down all the time. They just interview people up on the streets and then they say, well, Trump made our lives better 4 years ago. Yeah, a lot of people know that because they did. You know, I'm stuck in a super high interest rate loan on my mortgage when if I would have been able to buy at that time here and when Trump was president, my mortgage would probably be cut by probably $500 or $600 a month. And that's a fact. And we're going to get back down to that. I'm already seeing it. The market's already adjusting to it. I just saw my statement on my property value. The property value is dropping because they're anticipating Donald Trump coming in and changing things. So that's a good sign, but it's also a bad sign because I bought too high. Where my money would have stretched a lot further had I waited for Trump to become president. So I got screwed in this whole market issue. And I know, Shauna, we've talked about it a million times. You're kind of in a standstill on a lot of things too, because the market's not benefiting you. And so we're all just sitting around Atlanta waiting on Trump to get elected so we can get our normalcy of our finances back. It's just, I know liberals don't want to hear it, but that's the truth of the matter. The economic policy was better. I don't know how else I can just describe it so people can understand it. The international policy was genius. The economic policy was genius. People get their feelings hurt because Donald Trump says crazy things. I get it. We got to worry about people's feelings. But I mean, I want to retire. I don't care about people's feelings. I want to retire. I work hard. I work hard for the things I have. I want to retire on time. And it's going to take good leadership for that to happen. Bad leadership, what the liberals have on the I feel bad because people are not going to be able to retire in the next 4 years. They're going to have to keep working. Same thing with this last 4 years. A lot of people did not retire on time, but the Department of Labor statistics won't report it. I've been digging for it. People are working past their retirement age. Unfortunately, because those people deserve to retire on time. They worked hard for that. But I mean, that's basically my big spiel of the day. I'm excited. I got all this good news. My parents came down from Ohio to visit me. That was exciting. Shauna helped me enjoy welcoming my new granddaughter into the world. That was a lot of fun. I probably held her almost the whole time, probably over half the time I was there. She's so little and so precious. I was so happy.
9 pounds of baby isn't little, but she's definitely.
She was 9 pounds. 9 pounds, 3 ounces, right?
9 pounds, 20 ounces.
20? There is no 20 ounces.
Well, that's what it said on the thing.
That would be 10 pounds. That would be 10 pounds, 4 ounces.
Well,
there's only 16 ounces in a pound.
Well, she was almost 10 pounds. That's what we know. And she's just as cute as she can be.
I think you partied too much.
Already has everybody wrapped around her finger. Oh my God. Whew.
Yeah, she's got everybody wrapped around her finger for sure. She's the cutest little thing. If she wouldn't have had the alarm thing on her ankle, she would be sitting here with me right now. But I can't kidnap my grandkid. So my daughter will probably try to kill me.
Not try. She would. For sure.
She would?
For sure.
Yeah, she probably would. But she's precious and I'm happy. I like being a grandpa. I was a little worried about it at first, like when my other daughter started having kids, and I was like, I don't know about this grandpa thing. I'm too young for all that. I just turned 40 when I had my first grandkid. I'm like, man, I'm barely out of my 30s and I'm a grandpa already. That don't seem right.
That's how my mom was when my sister had her first child. My mom was like, I'm not old enough to be a grandma. I don't want to be called grandma. So that's how she came up with Gigi.
Yeah. Well, that's still a code word for grandma, so she's got to eat it. Gloria.
Actually, those are her initials. So there you go.
All right. Well, that's fair. I didn't know her last name started with a G.
No, it's her middle name and her first name. Those are her initials. So
okay.
Yep. So
all right. That makes sense. Then Shauna stole my parents away from me.
I do that with everybody. Everybody likes me better. It's okay.
It's not okay. There's only one, like I said in the text, there's only one golden child in this family, and it's me.
I'm sorry to tell you, that's me. I'm sorry. I know
you obviously didn't.
Have I like giving you a new complex outside of the one from your brother? What are we gonna call mine?
I'm gonna make something up. I was about to say, did you ever watch that one, the Skeletor Syndrome one?
Yes, I did. You both are idiots.
It was masterful.
You both are idiots. Both of you.
That was one. My dad said that was one of his favorite ones.
I'm sure.
I can't help it. I got Skeletor Syndrome.
Right. Okay.
Facts.
But anyways,
we're about an hour in. So that is the end of our show. Thanks for not participating very much today, Shauna.
I'm sorry. It was a lot to do today.
Excuses.
Oh, whatever, man.
But that's our show for the day. Shauna's going to pout the rest of it. I already know it. She's going to be pouting at work tomorrow. You said, Amy, participate.
You always want to be so mean.
I'm not even being mean. I was just stating the fact.
1232 Jackson Street. You are being mean. You're being very mean to me. So, anyways, but that's all good people.
Right. All right. Well, that's the end of the show. So I will see everyone I will not be on here Wednesday. I am going to the Trump rally on Wednesday. So I will try to do something on Thursday so I can tell you how awesome the Trump rally is.
Starting route to 1232 Jackson Street. Audio is set to alerts only. Only important instructions will be announced.
There you go. She just will not shut